Mount Manresa is a pristine open space area of 15 acres that has never been developed for commercial purposes since the Native Americans occupied Staten Island. It is located at the corner of Fingerboard Road and the Staten Island Expressway, just off the Verrazano Bridge, and one bus stop from downtown Manhattan and Brooklyn. During the time the Dutch settled in New Amsterdam, it was a private hunting preserve for wealthy Dutch as an escape from the turmoil of New York. In the mid-19th century, it was a grand 20-acre private estate owned by Louis Mayer, one of the founders of the Staten Island Savings Bank. He called the estate Fox Hill Villa and improved the property by creating vistas of the harbor and planting a great variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers. While most of the trees and shrubs were imported from Europe, they thrived in the Staten Island climate and created one of the most diverse exhibitions of flora on the island. In 1911, the Jesuits acquired the property and created Mount Manresa as the very first lay retreat of the Roman Catholic Church in the United States. For over 100 years, Mount Manresa has served the needs of people of all faiths. In addition, it has come to the aid of the Staten Island community whenever a need arose. This land has never been farmed or used for commerce. Over the past 100 years, these 15 acres have been designed for contemplation and reflection. It has lawns and pastures, over 100-year-old trees, including rare ancient tulip trees and oak trees, quiet spaces to be alone with one's thoughts, an old grotto, and hollows where one can find solace. With over 15,000 participants a year, many have happy memories and long association with Mount Manresa. It sponsored health, wellness, and addiction retreats, as well as for alumni organizations. Others have explored its spaces and found respite from the densely developed neighborhood around it, and the noise and pollution of the Staten Island Expressway. Also, Mount Manresa was used as a major crisis center. It was a base for first responders during 9/11. Families and victims of 9/11 received counseling and found peace at Mount Manresa. Mount Manresa was used by Alyssa Montani's Global Relief Fund as a place of recovery for victims of war, natural disaster, and illness. Most recently, Mount Manresa was a base for FEMA and home for victims of Superstorm Sandy. Mount Manresa was recently sold to a commercial land developer who can construct 3-story attached high-density housing. Despite the New York City Mayor's task force directive to preserve open spaces and stop overdevelopment in Staten Island, this unspoiled open space is zoned R3-2, which will permit 3-story attached housing and destroy the last remaining open space in this area. The reported sale price of $15 million will require the construction of a very large number of housing units to produce the expected profit from that investment. That will increase the population density of the neighborhood and increase the pressure on people's search for open space. In addition, increasing the housing density in this area presents a health and safety issue for the existing residents. The lack of stewardship and planning in the past is not justification for continued overdevelopment now, and will not be tolerated. Neighborhood residents wonder why these 15 acres were not protected by zoning regulations. Why was it zoned for high-density housing construction when it could have been and should have been zoned as open space or for lower-density use? We will see a significant decrease in the quality of life for all area residents. This taking from the public will deteriorate the quality of life for local residents who had free access to this natural landscape for the past 100 years for daily walks, emotional recharging, quiet solitude, as well as amelioration from the intensity, noise, and pollution of one of the busiest interstate highways in the United States, with over 200,000 cars, trucks, and buses each day. Since the opening of the Verrazano Bridge and the Staten Island Expressway, high-density housing developments were constructed along both Narrows Road North and Narrows Road South, bordering the expressway. That required cutting into the existing hills. This area can't afford more high-density housing. It needs to preserve what open space it has left. Mount Manresa has a rare and rich geological history, with glacial hills called terminal moraine formed over 20,000 years ago during the last ice age. The sprawling 15 acres, home to old, tall, rare native oak and tulip trees on unaltered natural landscape, provides a natural habitat for many kinds of wildlife, including deer. It has several structures over 130 years old that are worthy of landmark status, including a grotto made from iron ore from Staten Island's Iron Hill, Toad Hill, in the 1870s, and a rare brick artesian well water tower in the 1860s. As the first retreat house in America, Mount Manresa's history is the subject of a book by Thomas W. Matteo. Once the magnificent landscape of these 15 acres of the former Mount Manresa are built on, it can never be recovered or restored. High-density residential development will involve destroying the landscape by leveling the hills and valleys, killing the trees and shrubs to create a landscape that will permit the construction of a maximum number of housing units. Many Staten Islanders remember what Staten Island was once like before the construction of the Verrazano Bridge, when the towns were real towns, when there was vast acreage of forests, farms, horse ranches, and low-density open space. Most of that has been destroyed as housing developments were created. We have very little left to remind us of how beautiful and serene Staten Island once was. The 15 acres of Mount Manresa is one of the few places that should be preserved for future generations to show them their Staten Island heritage. The comments of people who signed our petition online were impassioned about the intensity of the loss of this bucolic open space on Staten Island. This densely developed neighborhood around Mount Manresa has no nearby access to any public parks. The entrance to Fort Wadsworth is 1 mile away up and down a hill from here, and Brady's Pond is closed to the public. The families in this area need a buffer from the noise and pollution of the Staten Island Expressway. This heavily populated neighborhood has nowhere to retreat. The main reason why people buy houses next to the Staten Island Expressway is Mount Manresa, for its green and quiet space. Without Mount Manresa, area residents will no longer have any respite from the noise and pollution of the Staten Island Expressway. For over 100 years, the public supported Mount Manresa with its donations and attendance at its retreats. Surely the public could have been consulted as to the proposed sale and future use of this land. Instead, the people were ignored, and the land is being sold for the largest amount of money that could be achieved. The welfare of the area residents and Staten Islanders generally was never considered. This beautiful natural landscape containing glacial hills, old-growth trees, and historical sites should have been zoned as a natural designated area with local and national landmark status, but was not due to negligence or callous indifference. The Mayor's Task Force, created several years ago for the purpose of stabilizing communities by protecting open green spaces through downzoning, did not include Mount Manresa, despite recommendations by some Staten Island elected officials. These elected officials never pursued the zoning changes or created a natural designated area for Mount Manresa. Former City Councilman Jay Donovan called Mount Manresa a pristine natural area at our first rally that he attended. Jay suggested that Mount Manresa, which is part of the terminal moraine formed during the last ice age 20,000 years ago, be included in the hillside preservation law that protects the natural hills in the northern half of Staten Island. Mount Manresa is not far from that hillside preservation zone and is a natural glacial hill that is the highest point formed by the glacier that still has miraculously survived despite urban development. The lack of the appropriate zoning and failure to pursue the changes by our elected officials as late as 2010 was a terrible error that can be corrected now. Through our current City Council representative, Debbie Rose, and the support of State Senator Diane Savino, a State Assembly Representative Nicole Maliotakis, and Community Board Number 1, these zoning changes can be changed to the appropriate designation. That is what we have to work hard to and must accomplish. Another concern is air quality. Considering how bad Staten Island's air quality is, eminent domain can be exercised to save any and all open green spaces on Staten Island. It would help improve our air and reduce respiratory disease and associated cardiovascular diseases, and would help save countless lives. The environmental studies should be done to assess potential health damage for the residents due to expressway expansion, removing trees along the expressway, and now destroying 15 acres of natural area, which are the lungs for our neighborhood, a noise barrier, and a place to find quiet serenity. Residents feel betrayed by our elected officials and borough president for their ignoring the fate of Mount Manresa and the lack of any action by them. A grassroots committee of local area residents was formed by Community Board 1 to stop the destruction of this unspoiled open space and preserve it as a landmark or some low-density use. We are appealing to our elected officials who should have tried to protect this land from destruction, and to Staten Island residents generally who know what unrestrained development has done to the one-time beauty of this island. We created a website and a Facebook page. We have held rallies at Mount Manresa, circulated a petition with over 3,500 signatures, and written letters and secured support from other civic associations and elected officials. We continue to reach out to the media, environmental organizations, and public officials. We seek landmark and other protected status, although we are in a race against time. The Jesuits used this land's healing power and now carelessly discarded the land. These trees helped so many people over the years, but now they need human help to be saved. Please help to stop this avatar and protect and keep this land from housing development for all future generations. We are calling on all environmentalists, elected public officials, local homeowners, and other involved citizens to join with us and protect and preserve this valuable heritage, the last bit of open space in an over-congested neighborhood on the east shore of Staten Island. We urgently appeal to everyone viewing this video to contact our public officials, write letters to the Staten Island Advance and other media. Help us find influential supporters and help us raise awareness among the public to this threatened destruction. Once this beautiful natural land is destroyed, it will be gone forever, and that is what we are fighting to prevent. This beautiful natural land needs human help and support to stay alive and share its beauty for generations to come. Please don't be silent. We need your help. Further information can be found on SaveManresa.org. Thank you very much.